What's up YouTube? In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to fetch some data from Yahoo's finance API right here. So we got a bunch of JSON here and we can do a JSON P request on it, and we're going to get all of this data and we're going to put it into an object, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make this bar chart right here. So if we refresh here, okay, we see those coming in. It's got some nice animation, and if we hover over it, it shows the daily change, and these change the color a little bit. So basically we're going to see how to get this data and store it in an object and then create this chart. The plugin I'm using for this is called Highcharts, and I've done 2 demos with it so far, and I'm really liking it. So let's just get into it. So let's start off with the HTML here. I'm using boilerplate again, HTML5 boilerplate, and we're including jQuery, including Highcharts, and then our main JS file. I also need to create 2 divs here. So one is this currency info div. So if we go back here and I scroll down, if we go below the charts, we can see all the detailed information right here. Okay, and also the container. So the container is where the chart itself is going to be placed. And one interesting thing about this container, it does need some styling. And so first of all, I put the styling for this in the CSS file and linked that in, but it didn't work. So basically, because the JavaScript is overriding it. So the styles for that container, we needed to put in, I put it just before the chart constructor right here. So container.css, and then I'm passing in the height right there. Okay, so I think that's everything we need to talk about for the HTML and CSS. Yep. So we'll go over to the JavaScript file here and see how this is done. So before I go into this, I want to go to the Highcharts demo. So basically what I did was I just took this simple example they have right here, and I turned it into this this app that's, it's getting everything dynamically. And I'll just show you how I did that. So if we click view options right here, this is their bar basic, by the way. So we click view options, and if we go down here, so we'll see this x-axis. This has an array of all these different countries here. Okay, so obviously we want to change that with an array of all of our different currencies. Okay, so if we jump back to the code and we go down here, you'll see that categories, I'm actually setting it to null in the beginning. And what's going to happen is when we get into our callback function, wherever we are, yeah, right here, this is our callback function. What we're going to do is we're going to get all of the currencies right here, okay, from right here, and then we're going to push it onto the array. So yeah, so let's just go back here for a second. So this one takes an array, so we got to get an array of the currencies there. And if we go down here to, let's see now, yeah, right here. So here they have 3 different, bars going across, but we only want 1 bar for each currency. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to remove 2 of these, and this series, it actually takes it's an array. It's past an array. It has only 1 element in the array, which is these objects. And oh, sorry, yeah, it's an array of objects. And so basically we just want to remove these last 2, so that yeah, if we just move this over, yeah, they have 3 there. We just want 1. So we're going to remove those last 2, and we're just going to keep the first one, and the name is, well, we're just going to set that to percentage change or whatever. But then for the data, we're going to set an array of all of the currency change amounts, so the daily amount change. So this is going to be an array of 100 something different currency changes, like 0.01 and whatever. And up here is going to be the currency names. So obviously these are going to be the same amount, because for every currency there's a name and there's an amount change. So that's basically all we need to do, I think. Oh yeah, and one more thing was one other thing we needed to get dynamically is this this y-axis right here. I think it was. Yeah, if we go over to the code here and we go down into our object literal here, you'll see the y-axis has a min and a max. Okay, but the thing here is we don't know every day, which is going to be the maximum currency mover, which one's going to be the least, right? So if we look at the if we look at our chart here, right, so we can see here, if we scroll down to the bottom, if we look at the bottom here, we'll see that this goes from 0 to -2 right here, and it goes 0 to 2.5. So what we want to do is we want to fetch this minimum and maximum value dynamically, because this could be changing every day. Okay, so what we need to do is once we have all of the currency values in an array, we need to do a check. What is the lowest one and what is the highest one? And then we need to put that right here. Okay. All right. So so let's just go to the top here and just go through this one by one. So the first thing, obviously everything's in document ready function. We wait till our DOM's ready until we're doing something. And then what I'm doing here is I'm creating a variable, a global variable called localhost, which is set to an object. And I'm just calling this my global namespace variable. I'm not sure what it should be called officially, but basically, in order to avoid polluting the global namespace, I'm just creating one variable in the global namespace, in the global scope, and then all these other things that I want to create, they are going to be a property of this object. Okay, so all of these other properties are going inside this localhost object right here. So we're not polluting the global namespace, we're just creating one variable. After that, we are creating our URL, which is where our JSON data is. Okay, and I created a video before about this, and we appended on question mark and callback, our callback function in the end. But this time we're using the .ajax method of jQuery. Last time we used getJSON, but here we're using .ajax. And I strongly recommend you to use .ajax rather than getJSON, because it's much more flexible, and I think that we want to get good with .ajax first, because when you need to do something more difficult or more customized, something like .getJSON is not going to be as good as this, because this is more flexible. It has a lot of different options we can pass in. So I think in the future I'm just going to use .ajax for all my Ajax stuff, whether it's using JSONP or not. So okay, so the URL is set to this URL right here. Cache is set to false. I think I could have left this out, because when we use JSON, when we set the data type as JSONP, jQuery is going to set this cache to false anyways, but I'll just leave it like that for now. And yeah, data type is JSONP. Okay, so with JSONP, I'll just explain it really quickly. Basically, if I right click here and we go into our network tab and we refresh here, we can see what the server is going to give back to us. So we click on quote right here, and you'll see that what JSONP is, basically Yahoo's server is returning me the JavaScript, the JSON. It's returning me this JSON object inside of this function invocation right here. Okay, so this actually was our request. So when you use the data type JSONP, jQuery will append onto the URL something like, actually I think I know what it is and callback is set to question mark. Okay, and this question mark is just a temporary variable here, which is going to get changed into it's going to get changed into this jQuery, and then this got this, I think it's a timestamp after it. Okay, so basically we're getting passed back a a script, and then this is getting invoked, and then our JSON objects being created. If we go to console right here, I actually console.logged it here. So object, and then so we have a really nice object right here. Resources, an array of 164 different currencies, and then if we go in here, the object resource fields, and then all of our data we want to use is right there. All the data we're using to make this chart. So let's jump back to the code, and one really awesome thing about .ajax is it's got this context option. So I actually opened up the page from jQuery, and so this context right here is, I'll just read the important part. So basically, by default, the context is an object that represents the AJAX settings used in the call. So by default, this will be, if we use the this keyword, inside our function callback, it's going to refer to the object literal that's holding all of those options, right? So I think, unless I'm mistaken, it's referring to, this. I think it's referring to this object being passed in. Okay, but if we set this context variable to whatever we want, when we use the this keyword inside the callback function, it is going to refer to this object, this variable instead. Okay, so you'll see below I'm using this in a bunch of different places, and now this is referring to localhost because I set context to localhost. Okay, and this worked well for me because all of this sort of important information about our program, all this important variables, I'm storing inside this localhost object, .currency HTML, change %, and whatnot. So let's just this video is getting kind of long, but let's just briefly see how I did this. So the success callback function. So once this AJAX request has been successful, if it's been successful, we're running this callback function, and the callback function is getting passed the data, which is our JavaScript object with all that information in it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to loop through the resources. Okay. So if we go here for a second. Let's see. Let's just go to our object right here. So basically the object's got a lot of stuff we don't need, but this resources is an array of 164 different currencies. Okay, so for I is set to 0, while I is less than data.list.resources.length, okay, I++. So if the amount of currencies changes in the futures, this is always going to be updated because we're checking the length of resources there. Okay, then so then I'm using the this keyword a bunch of times. So basically localhost.currency object, this is being created here, is set to the resources dot fields. Okay, so if we open this up, resources, then the 0, 1, 2. Okay, we're looping through this. And then the resource right here, okay, resource dot fields, and we can see the content of fields right here. So everything we want is inside this fields object. So we're looping through all of those, and then we're creating this HTML first. So if we scroll down here, okay, we can see all this HTML. So this is what we're doing first. We're building up this HTML string. So got the title right there, and then after this is the title part, but then we want to show the property name and the property's value, and we want to show all of them. Okay, so the way we do that is for all of the properties in localhost.currency object, okay, localhost.currency HTML is set to this, which starts off at nothing. This plus the property. Okay, so this is the name of it, and then we're concatenating on this colon, and then this dot currency object, and then the property element of it. So this is the, basically we have the name right here and the value. Okay, so when you're looping through objects, we want to loop through all of the properties in the object, and you can get the name like this, and you can get the value like this. Okay, so that is that's creating all of our HTML like this. Okay, which is showing all of them there. And the next thing I need to do is we needed to create an array here. So this one starts off at nothing, but we want this to be an array of all the percent changes, okay? And we need to do this for two reasons. One reason is because obviously we needed to pass it in here for right here. Okay, this is, yeah, right here. We're going to put in, we need to put an array of all the currency changes right there, okay? And the second reason we need to do that is because we need to get the maximum, and so we need to get the highest number and the lowest number in order to pass into right here. Okay, so two reasons we need that. And so the way I do that is, you know, localhost.change%, this is an array. Okay, so because it's an array, we can push elements onto it. Okay, so I'm pushing on the change percent right here. Okay, this is going to be a string, so I'm first running the parse float function on that. Okay, this is going to convert it to a number, and then we're pushing it onto this array. Okay, so once this is finished looping, we have an array of all of the percentage changes right here, and then we also need all of the names too. Okay, so same deal, except here we have fields.name, and of course these are strings, so we don't need parse float, and we're pushing it onto localhost.currency. Okay, the next thing I'm doing is I'm using a we're gonna find the largest number, the maximum number, and the minimum number, and I found this function on John Resig's blog. Okay, so so we can know it's good basically, and yeah, so number array. This dot chart, basically localhost.chart1.y-axis.max. Okay, this is being set to an immediately invoked function expression. Okay, so this is going to run automatically, and it's going to return a value, and that value is going to be stored right here. Okay, so we start with the parentheses right here, and then it's being, you'll see at the end it's got the invocation right here, and we're passing in this dot change percent. We're passing in the array of all of the change percentages that we just created. Okay, this gets passed in here. We refer to it as array in the function, and then basically we loop through all of it. Okay, if we have a check right here to see if it's a valid number or not. Okay, so if it's a real number, then we are going to push it onto the array. Okay, and then finally return math.max.apply. Okay, we don't have time to explain this, but yeah, this is John Resig's function for finding the maximum one. So I was able to easily change this below to get the minimum number. Okay, so now we have the yeah, maximum minimum. We calculated that, and we stored it in this variable, and obviously this variable is being, you know, referred to right here. Okay, so that has a value now, and below that, let's see here. So the next thing we're doing is this. If we go down here, we'll see that our series data, this was set to null, but we need this to be an array of all the values. Okay, so that is going to get done right up here. Okay, so we're taking that whole array, and now we're storing it there, and then we're taking an array of all of the currency names, and then we're storing that right here. Okay, so those were originally null, and now we've given them the arrays they need. And then just below that, yeah, we're just outputting the HTML here. We're setting the CSS for the container that's going to hold our chart. Remember, I said this couldn't be done in the CSS file, so we're doing it right here. And then the last thing we're doing is we're creating the chart right here. Okay. And after that, I'm just logging out that console.logging that object that we looked at before. So we can just look at the chart just one more time. Go to the top. And yeah, you'll see, so we got all of this data dynamically, and it's also being displayed very well here. And that's because of the minimum and maximum that we set. So we got those dynamically. So this knows, you know, what should be, if we go down here, it knows what should be the minimum value and what should be the maximum. And no matter how these numbers change every day, you know, our application is going to be ready for it. One interesting thing I wanted to talk about here is that JavaScript is single-threaded. Okay, so that means that actually all of these things at the bottom are going to be executed before our Ajax right here and before our callback function. So even though if we go right here, even though our callback function is up here and our object is down here, this object is going to be created first, okay? Because JavaScript is single-threaded, it's not going to wait here, okay? If this takes 1 second to do, or if this takes half a second to do this, what's going to happen is it's going to start on that, but this program execution is not going to wait for it. It is going to go and create this object right away. Okay, so we cannot calculate some things in the callback function and expect those to be set right here inside these places. Okay, so and I just wanted to just show you something to prove that. So right here we'll see I have these 3 alerts here at the bottom of the object literal. And basically what I'm doing is I'm showing you the XS's categories and the series data, okay, right here, and also the maximum currency value, okay? And this is at the very bottom of my file, you can see here. And then if I go up here to these 3 guys right here, you'll see that these are higher up in the code inside the callback function, and I'm also just outputting the same things right here. Okay, except I'm prepending here, okay, inside callback, and once we run this program, you're going to be able to see that, just see how the program execution works in JavaScript. So basically, these things don't happen one by one. Okay, if this, whatever time this takes, the rest of the program doesn't wait for it. Okay, so I'm just going to run that so you can see. And we're just going to refresh right here, and you'll see this right here is the alert from the bottom of my object literal at the very bottom of the file, and we can see it's null there, and series data is null, and also the maximum currency value is null. Okay, now it's going to show the things from the callback function, which took, you know, which happened last, and now we see series data has all these array values. And our XS, here's all our currency names, and then finally the maximum value. Okay, so that was just a problem that I bumped into when making this program, and I thought it was, you know, it was a good learning experience for me. So I just wanted to share that with you. And you know, unless you understand that JavaScript is single-threaded and how that works, it can be almost impossible to debug it, because you won't know why it's not working. You know, you'll first think it's a scope problem, but it's not a scope problem. It has to do with this .ajax request is asynchronous. Okay, so this is going to happen, but the rest of the program is going to keep running right away. So the code below it is not going to wait for this to finish. It's going to continue on immediately. So that's basically how you can use jQuery's .ajax method. and using data type JSONP, okay, because we're fetching from an external domain and context of localhost, and using a callback function to create this stuff. And then we're using Yahoo's API right here, and using Highcharts for the chart.